You're listening to the Youth Critic Podcast on KHZ Network. Find us on Facebook at DecibelUNG Radio and find us on Twitter at DecibelUNG. If you like this episode, please leave a like and comment on our iTunes page at KHZ Network.
In the city
And now for the podcast.
In a darker side of Dixie, away from the music and the lights, there's a new game in town.
You'll be provided with a guide, trackers, and the weapons of your choice.
I need to file a missing person report.
The competitors are deadly.
We pride ourselves in hunting only combat veterans, men who have the necessary skills to make our hunts more interesting.
And they always win.
You want to find your father? Get somebody who knows the city to show you around.
Now, the opposition is about to get one last chance.
What kind of a name is Chance?
My mama took when.
Our friend Mr. Boudreaux, Silver Star, Marine Force Recon. He's obviously not someone we should underestimate. He is an annoying little insect.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Youth Critic Retrospectives. I am your host, Cale Smith. Joining me for the season finale is...
Justin Mayhew. Hi, everybody.
And for the season finale, we're going out with a bang. We're talking about John Woo's first American movie, Hard Target, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Is there enough Jean-Claude Van Damme in this movie?
There's a lot of Jean-Claude Van Damme. And lots of kicks and...
Did he ever do a split in this one? I don't remember him doing a split in this one.
Maybe that got cut. I don't know if he did a split, but he did a lot of kicking.
Lots of kicking, yes. He kicked somebody, kick him in the face, kick him in the stomach, and then shoot them.
Yeah.
Or shoot them and then kick them. Or kick them, shoot them, and kick them.
Yeah, I'm just kind of sitting here thinking, damn, John really just had to work around the kicks. Because, my God, because John Woo's style is very much just shoot the guy and just have things explode while the guy is shooting.
Yep. Well, he did manage to do that, too.
Yeah, he managed to combine both, but still it's like, you got to be thinking in the editing room, like John was thinking, John, can I please cut this third kick? Please, just, can I just shoot the guy? Like, you already kicked him once. Let's just call it a day.
Yeah, back in the day, about the time that I saw this in the theaters or thereabouts, in the early 90s, I came up with a term for the John Woo style or those similar things. I called it gun fu because they're doing this dance choreography thing while they're shooting at each other. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's how. That's actually been coined as a phrase to describe John Woo's, Hong Kong movies.
Right. So I guess I just kind of reinvented the wheel there.
Yes. But going into this movie, I don't have a history with this movie. Did you say you saw this in theaters?
I did see it in the theaters. Yes, when it came out, I did see it.
What was that like? Because it must have been a loud experience.
It was loud. At the time, I had seen a couple of John Woo's things, like Hard Boiled and some of his Hong Kong pictures. So I was ready to see him work in America. I was excited about it. And I have to say that it wasn't bad, but I wanted a little bit more, he seemed kind of overly restrained, which is funny because a lot of things blow up. They burn an entire warehouse full of Mardi Gras floats down in the thing.
Yeah.
he shoots a bunch of people while riding a giant paper mache swan. And I was like, this movie seems restrained.
Well, you're not wrong. It feels restrained, and the reason why I say it feels restrained is that it feels like they only had like a certain amount of time to shoot the movie.
Right.
They had like an $18 to $20 million budget, which back then was.
It was nothing to sneeze at. That was a decent middle of the road budget.
Yeah, it was like a mid-range action budget.
Yeah, you're talking roughly 30 or 40, roughly equivalent now, right? I would say
something. Yeah, I mean, it might be cheaper because the Lionsgate, those guys that make the Hitman's Bodyguard and the Spy Who Dumped Me, those people that make those. Do you remember those from? Do you remember that movie from last year, Hitman's Bodyguard?
Yeah, Samuel L. Jackson and Ryan Reynolds, correct?
Yes, and that one movie that Dylan O'Brien did.
I don't think I saw that one yet. No, which was that?
I don't remember the title off the top of my head, but
right. Well, now we get the voice actress from the McGriffin's show. Was it The Family Guy? What's her name? Doing the spy.
Mila Kunis?
Mila Kunis in the spy movie, the spy comedy.
When Kate Pinkin. Well, and what I'm getting at is that people have kind of figured out how to do it cheaper, but the quality has definitely gone down.
Right.
Since Hard Target because, so I would say this is more the higher end, but yeah. But yeah, the reason why you're right, it feels restrained, is it feels like they shot like all the talking scenes and dialogue, like basically the first half of the movie in like 2 weeks, and then they spent the last 6 weeks. I don't know how long they shot this movie, but I'm just guessing it was an 8-week shoot.
Yeah, Wikipedia says 65 days, so about 2 months.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's about. Well, they take like Sundays off and whatnot, so it's roughly.
Right, but they shot over. I'm not sure if it's over a period of 65 days or 65 total shooting days. You know, it's not clear.
It's probably like less than 3 months then, if that's the case. So I mean, they spent like 3 weeks, and then they spent like 10 weeks or less doing the action set pieces because because all the talking scenes and even the scene where we see Jean-Claude.
They had 74 days of production time, 65 days of shooting time. So,
well, the reason why I bring this up is it feels like they had. It just feels like they had a very.
They had to rush the dramatic bits. Is what you're saying. Yes. Well,
it feels TV-like.
There is some of that, but I still appreciate some of the spaghetti western mannerisms he did. You know, you'd have the sudden zoom ins on people to show their emotion that they're upset or they're excited, and you zoom in on them. You know, it's very spaghetti western kind of a thing. You know, and have that. And when we first introduced to Casey Lemon's character, Detective Mitchell, I think it is.
From Silence of the Lambs.
Yes, but she's playing a detective in this again,
right.
And she's got her birthday cake that she's celebrating her own birthday, and she hides the birthday cake in her drawer, and she's smoking herself out. You know, all very cute and twee, and I thought it was one of the more effective moments in the film.
It is, but I don't know who to feel worse for because I'm like, I feel really bad for this, clerk detective. I guess that's what you would do for.
She's a detective of some sort.
Yeah, because everyone she knows is probably on the streets, striking, pitching a royal fit about whatever we never learn about. It's just there. And it's her birthday, and she just wants to have this wonderful cake, which I can have empathy for because I love cake, and I'm on a diet now where I can't have cake. So
I heard the keto diet.
Yeah.
No, thank you. I'm going to eat a lot of bread myself.
Awesome. Good for you.
I'm going to keep eating my bread.
Good for you.
I can't do it. I'd probably kill somebody.
Oh my gosh. But this girl she's just having this one moment and then this girl just comes up, just sneaks up like a ninja.
Yeah, Yancy Butler, people, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, she just sneaks up and can you help me find my daddy in that words? Not dad or father.
Yeah, she's like a 30-year-old woman.
Yeah, she's like in her late 20s, early 30s.
Right. Can you find my diddy? Hey, where'd my diddy go? I'm looking for my diddy.
And everyone's referring to her daddy as daddy. So it's like, what the fuck? Like, what kind of child fetish are we going here?
Well, maybe before he went on the lam, he was a rich guy because she does have that fancy IROC Z. Some fancy clothes, the purse, and the gang of robbers at the beginning who are going to take her purse because she shows off the money in her purse at the beginning, in the diner. Oh, and that was also leads me to one of the things that John Woo was upset about in America, the stuntman unions and the lack of initiative, he thought it, that, there were certain things they could not do, like go face first through a plate glass window. Because you'll notice that the bad guy, that Jean-Claude Van Damme, in that scene, throws through the window, goes through like this.
Oh, okay.
And John Woo wanted him to go through like this.
Yeah, and I think, didn't we evolve to actually have the guy go face first, or is it still?
No, it's still in the film. He's actually doing this. They would not let him.
I mean, like now.
Now I have no idea. I mean, I'm pretty sure the unions are still, going to say certain things you can't do, And Hong Kong has always been a lot less strict on what you can do to your poor stuntman,
Okay. Isn't you don't have to go face first, but could you go like head first?
Possibly, but since he wanted him going face first, they had to. Since he's going, looking through the window, the rules are you have to have.
Oh, okay. And you want to do that in slow mo to
Yeah,
capture.
right. And so you see him going, putting his arms over his face, right? And John Woo was very disappointed with that. He wanted him to go face first through the plate glass window.
Yeah, John, you gotta think outside the box.
There are rules here, man. It ain't the Wild West.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like they, they just did whatever in Hong Kong or I'm sure there were
rules, but I don't think they're
I don't think you could actually shoot people.
Jackie Chan, right? But Jackie Chan is reputed to have broken every single bone he possibly could.
Right. Yeah, and so I don't want to, and I do want to talk about that scene because it's so like odd. Because it's shot very television-like. Just have a slow pan to the car, following the girl, and then the goons come out
and cut reverse cuts. Very simple, straightforward editing on it.
Yeah,
yep.
And then the hand misses the face, but she's acting still.
Yeah,
it's super silly.
Yeah, I noticed there's a couple of obvious misses in the movie that they didn't quite get their angles in the camera right. So you can see the head and the fist turning independently of each other a couple of times in the film, especially since they did it in slow motion.
And going to the slow motion, there is really good slow motion in this movie.
Right.
But then, yeah. But also there are scenes where, like in the beginning, where Jean-Claude is like walking and for some reason, like the film just kind of skips.
Yeah, they use, instead of true slow motion, they use the stop print technique, where they just slow the rundown in when they're transferring it over, so they don't have enough frames, so it becomes kind of herky jerky. Yeah. They didn't actually shoot it in slow motion, which is kind of an oversight, I think, because I never really did care for that substitute. When you couldn't afford a slow motion camera, I would say then don't try the fake slow motion effect.
Well, also if you're gonna have slow mo, then do everything in slow mo or. Do all your slow motion.
Right. I think maybe it's that they lost the camera. They didn't have it on all the days, or they didn't have enough money to rent it for the entire shoot or something.
Right.
And it was also, it wasn't in the action scenes. They had the slow mo camera in the action scenes. It's mainly when he was walking or something. In the dramatic sections, the non-stunt scenes, and they used that substitute. You notice. So maybe they just had the slow mo camera, the more expensive camera, when they actually absolutely had to have it. That would be my guess as to what happened there. But yeah, that herky jerky thing, I wouldn't do it if I didn't have access to a slow motion camera. Don't do slow motion, I would say.
Because you just run into that issue where you just can't do it because there's just not enough frames, and really the reason why you do a slow mo camera is because you want as many frames per second as possible.
Yep. And you get all that gory, nasty, fist hit in the face and the spreading out shockwaves in the cheek kind of thing. There's all that detail, right? That you're not going to get with a regular speed camera, even if you do slow the frames down, because there's just not enough. The shutter speed isn't short enough to capture all that detail.
Right. Yeah, and I just think I thought this was. I just find it.
It made it look kind of cheap, didn't it?
It did. It made it look like it made it look like John Woo was still figuring this movie out in post,
maybe he was,
or Jean-Claude Van Damme, because Jean-Claude Van Damme is also kind of infamous for kind of taking over the editing room, which he did famously on Cyborg, basically to save that movie. But
well, that was also another interesting movie that we could talk about sometime. I'd be interested in speaking about that.
I think we will. We'll talk about it next year. I'm not excited to see Cyborg, but I'm very interested to talk about it. So.
Maybe we could do a Jean-Claude Van Damme retrospective, because then we could do Time Cop.
Oh yeah, and Universal Soldier.
Universal Soldier, right?
So Or JCVD.
Right. Or there's also Jean-Claude Van Johnson, which we're not going to get any more of, I'm afraid. You know.
But yeah, so Hard Target, like, it just starts with, you know, with Nat, or Natasha. She's looking for her dad. Her daddy.
Her daddy.
Her daddy.
Who is killed by the bad guys in their
opening
version. Yes, in their version of The Most Dangerous Game. You know, very popular short story.
Set in New Orleans, of all places.
And if you have never read the short story, you know, The Most Dangerous Game, it's basically a rich guy who draws people to his island, they shipwreck, and he chases them around the island, shooting at them, basically.
I read that story, I think, in middle school.
Yeah, and there's multiple adaptations of it. There are, you know, at least 5 or 10 film adaptations.
And even, you know, that story's very popular in film. I mean, even the Predator is kind of like a variation.
Yeah, it's a derivative of there, you know.
Yeah.
Especially if you think about the recent 2010, I think it was, with Adrian Brody, where they take him to the planet. That was actually The Most Dangerous Game, actually, because the predators take you to their planet and chase you down, like the rich asshole on the island.
Yeah, they take you to a planet that it's like their hunting ground.
They take you to their game preserve, or wherever it were.
Right.
You know?
And hunt you there. Yeah, that's all set up by rich space people.
And so The Most Dangerous Game is the basis, the backbone of the rich assholes shooting and murdering poor homeless vets in this movie.
Yeah, because they want... So the setup is Lance Henriksen in The Mummy, or Victor...
Arnold Vosloo, yep.
Arnold Vosloo. They, you know, they have this like little, you know, black market business of where, you know, for like $500,000 you can pay to hunt, you know, people, and in all around New Orleans, and you can do it as a sporting thing, and it's been running very successful up until
Jean-Claude Van Damme gets involved.
Yeah, because and their setup is they bring, you know, homeless veterans that don't have families, so and they want homeless veterans because they want it to be a little bit of a game. They want there to be some
a challenge of some sort. Yes.
And you can choose what race. You can choose whatever you want.
Yep. Or military background if you want a ranger, or you want you know, SAS, or
right.
You know.
And so you can do that, and that's basically the plot of the movie, or the setup for the villains is they run a business, and they try their damnness to make sure that they're not attacking people with families or people with known connections.
Yeah. And then their contact man,
Randall
accidentally gets them somebody who has a daughter. Diddy.
Yeah. And that's what starts the whole like paper trail of, you know, well,
their detective work, if you will, right? And Arnold Vosloo chops off Randall's ear, which was quite an effective scene.
It is, and it's actually longer in, you know, it's actually more gruesome, and apparently it's more gruesome in the uncut version.
Man, those are some big scissors he was using too. Those things are monster scissors.
Well, you got to cut that.
And he stabs him in the wall. I mean, that was actually, I thought it was a very nice cinematic scene, you know. And then the scissors are left in the door jamb there, you know, poking out as a warning. You know.
Yeah, I really liked that number two villain.
Vosloo, Arnold Vosloo. Van Cleef was the character's name.
Yeah, Van Cleef.
Van Cleef. And you know who Van Cleef was? I'm pretty sure they did this on purpose. Lee Van Cleef was an actor who was in a whole buttload of spaghetti westerns in the 60s and 70s. If you've ever seen The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, he's the bad.
Okay.
The very thin, gaunt, dark-haired man, and he's missing the first couple of knuckles on his finger.
Right.
And he played in a bunch of spaghetti westerns. Like one character he played was called Angel Eyes.
Right. Well, to be fair, this movie is like a combination of
spaghetti western,
even though it's more neo now that it's, you know, it's for its time it was modern, and on top of that it's also, you know, got some noir in there. You have, you know, the kind of the lone wolf detective, you know, going and poking around looking, you know, for clues.
Right, and that's, I think that's John Woo's kind of film noir trademark. His, you know, movies like Hard Boiled are very film noir, you know,
right,
and very violent, you know.
Yeah. And that's how it, and so the combination of genres is actually really well, and also, I mean, the premise works very well, and as John Woo kind of mentioned, that the reason why he chose this project, because he got sent because he wanted to do something in America after Hard Boiled, and he got sent a bunch of scripts, and the reason why he chose Hard Target was because the script and the premise had heart, it had an emotional depth to it, and it also had an outline to where he could needle drop his action set pieces. He could do. So not only was it like a good emotional story to hook his, trademark action sequences on, it was a good, it was still like a good emotional story, which it is. I mean, I know we're kind of jumping around a bit, but the scene where, the Elijah, I think, is that the character's name?
Who?
Elijah, the character that dies in the middle of the movie, the homeless.
The other vet?
Yeah.
I can't remember what his character's name was, but yeah, he dies in the graveyard with all the tombs. But he takes out the hunter, the person that hired that hired them to get him.
Yeah. So
Elijah Roper. Yeah, it's Willie C. Carpenter as Elijah Roper.
Mm-hmm. So it's a very intense, suspenseful action scene because we follow this character, we feel for this character, we've been developed. This is a character that Jean-Claude Van Damme's character knows. This is one of the first people Nat talks to, and also this is a person that shared that grocery cart of belonging to her father, which that is so sad to find that your father got so low that all of his everything that he ever was is now in this, grocery cart. That's emotionally, devastating. And you're out living wherever the fuck, and you dress and live nicely. Because again, we don't know where she's coming from. She's very much like the pale writer of this as well.
Yancey Butler of Bender.
Yeah.
The daughter Bender character.
Yeah.
Yeah, she comes pale riding in on her IROC Z, man.
Yeah, all the characters are coming in from. They're all coming in. There's
her license tag says she's from Michigan.
Okay.
Yeah, so she's definitely out of state.
How did her father make it? Never mind. So that's kind of the draw of the movie. But then you get to the second line, and supposedly their last hunt, and Lance Henriksen and Laszlo's their last hunt, and it's a intense fight all the way through, and miraculously he gets to kill the racist dude that wants to kill him,
right?
But still, he's almost out. He's in the middle of the street. He's begging for help. He's got a fucking target on his head. And no one's just helping him. You have fucking Ted Raimi basically being like, no, I don't want to. No. And that final moment of him just giving up, just looking at Lance Henriksen, just fuck. And it's a really powerful scene. But it moves the plot along because now everything's in motion because they're now trying to get the fuck out of Dodge, and so now they're gonna kill Randall. They're gonna kill the mortician or not mortician, the
medical examiner.
Yeah.
Basically kill everybody.
Cut all ties.
Yep. And then here's the thing. I think is the genius of his business. Lance Henriksen, not only does he cut ties and decides leaving the town, but to clean up his Chance Boudreaux problem, he actually gets his hunters to pay even more per person to come and clean up his problem. Genius idea,
It's genius on his part, but the problem is, after the guy gets snake bit, we're now in the third act of this movie. Yeah. By the way, we'll kind of come back a little bit, but when the guy gets snake bit
by the gigantic rubber snake,
yeah, why aren't the billionaires just thinking to themselves, "Wait a minute, what the fuck is going on? I thought we were hunting somebody. This motherfucker took time to eat a fucking rat, to snap a rattle off.
Yep.
And of this poor snake.
Yeah.
And basically set up a trap.
Yeah, he had a tripwire made out of moss or something to alert the snake that they're passing somehow.
Yeah, well, it was meant probably just to take out one or two of the guys.
Right, but I mean, it seems an iffy proposition,
Yeah.
to get the snake to do exactly what you want it to do.
Yeah, because snakes generally don't want to bite people.
And so, thank God for rubber animatronic snakes.
Yeah. Well, in that scene of the whole snake, of him getting it from Nancy or Nat and just punching it, it's ridiculous as shit.
The snake looks like a cartoon. The snake actually looks like it's a cartoon. It
does. Well, it was an actual animatronic snake.
Right, but it looks like it looked like it came from an Hanna-Barbera cartoon or something.
It does. It does.
And he thumps it and goes, he even does like a double take when it gets knocked out.
Which, I have a question. How do you know that you didn't kill it, Jean-Claude? Chance Baudero.
Chance Baudero. No, he's that good, man. He knows exactly what the snake is doing. He reads bedtime stories.
He knows how hard I punched that snake.
I'll punch your lights out, but I won't kill you. I'll leave that to your mama.
Yeah, that's...
Oh, and which brings me to Wilford Diabetes Brimley as Dove.
As a Cajun.
Yeah, the Cajun moonshine man. Nothing, stereotypical about these roles at all, right?
No.
Nothing.
No, I think I think True Detective still holds the record of most realistic Asian accents by far. Because even Wilford Brimley, I'm like, what the fuck are you saying? Oh, fuck it. You're doing something. Fine.
Yep. Mainly, he's going to explain why he's going to shoot somebody with an arrow, is what I take from it,
And then and apparently this is he's the lost uncle that's just living out in the bayou.
Yep, the bayou man.
And he's a bootlegger, and he's got all these and he's got his whole fucking house ready to blow, so he could literally start a fire in his own house cooking steak or vegetables. And then
that's the risk you have to take, man, to be a free living man.
Oh my God. So, but yeah, it's silly. This is silly. But I don't know. I still like his character, especially as he, gets to he blows up his house and then on horseback gets to, run away from it in cool slow mo, or on horseback gets to ride away while Nat follows suit, and Jean-Claude Van Damme is being chased by Victor Alonso. Yeah, this is kind of this third act is where things just got cool. It's this is where the movie finally goes full John Woo.
Yeah, and you have the gun fu as we were talking about earlier, and Jean-Claude Van Damme riding a giant papier-mâché swan, while blasting a shotgun at fools, right?
Yeah, and to be fair, it doesn't make sense story-wise for Lance Henriksen's character to just basically be because he up until the third act, he's been pretty smart. I mean, yeah, he fucked up with Randall, with the, with Nat's daddy. He kind of, he's kind of screwed that up, but that wasn't his fault. But this whole third act, he's like, fuck it, man, I don't care if I have to kill everybody. I don't care if I have to blow up half the United States. I'll kill Jean-Claude Van Damme.
It's like he goes full Ahab on this thing, right?
Right, which I'm like, dude, you've killed so many people. Just let it go. Go to Eastern Europe like you say you are. Also, why aren't you in Eastern Europe anyway? You could pay off so many cops there. So many, yeah. So, whatever. It just feels. So yeah, the third act is kind of a contrived because you're just. But I mean, Lance Henriksen, God bless his soul, he gives it all Like, has there ever been a movie where Lance Henriksen just phoned it in?
Possibly. Maybe later in his, straight-to-video days.
Oh, in his Asylum days?
Well, actually, and then there was a TV show he did that was sort of the spin-off, if you will. I don't know, what was it? Where he's a detective. And he's sort of a psychic detective.
I don't know this show.
There was a couple of years. He did a couple of seasons of that. I don't know. He sort of seemed a little in that.
Okay. Well, for this podcast. I mean, he really is working.
Yeah, he's chewing scenery quite nicely.
He's acting circles around. He's acting circles around Jean-Claude Van Damme, who, going to his performance real quick, is wooden.
Well, Jean-Claude Van Damme isn't known for range, I wouldn't say. He's known for.
I don't think he has any range.
Yeah, he's known for the range he gets his feet apart from his body.
He's known for physical range,
yes.
but not acting range.
Right. Yeah, he's there to kick people in the face, right?
Yeah, and which kind of hurts the movie a bit because I mean, this is literally Lance Henriksen's movie. Because I mean, he's got he's the character that has a negative kind of downfall. He has the arc. He has an interesting character in his movie, and his number 2 also is interesting the whole way because Arnold Alonso, is that what Bonzo? What is it called?
Arnold Vosloo. You're talking about the actor, right?
Yeah.
Millennium was this TV series that Henriksen starred in.
Okay, well, but Vosloo, like he's more charisma. He has more charisma. He's more commanding.
He was the mummy in the Brendan Fraser version of the Mummy.
Yeah, and he was fucking great in that. So it's like, we're stuck with this title character, the main actor of this movie. Everyone's fucking
the protagonist.
Yeah, everyone's flocking to see, and Jean-Claude Van Damme. I don't want to say he's phoning it in. It's just. He's just reading his lines stiffly.
Yeah, well, that's like I said. I'm kind of. That's what I kind of expect from a lot of his, movies. You know what I mean?
Right.
But he did have a really sweet mullet in this movie.
Oh God! Wow! No way.
You're not a fan of the mullet?
No mullet. I am anti-mullet.
That was quite a mullet in this movie. That was quite a mullet.
I mean, it was quite a mullet, but wow. Like, they were really trying to make him look dirty and whatnot and give him a mullet. And I'm like, a curly mullet.
Yeah, curly mullet. And it was filled with some sort of a hair pomade of some sort. Mm-hmm. It was like, made it look all greasy and shiny, Yeah,
it was... Oof. I didn't care for that too much, but I mean, what's funny is it's the first thing we see of Jean-Claude Van Damme in this movie. It's the first thing we see.
Jean-Claude Van Damme's mullet, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme and his mullet.
The mullet itself should have an Instagram account.
I'll bet you it does. I would not be surprised. It's on their Twitter too. It's on
It's on Twitter.
It
has its own Snapchat. Yeah. It has its own Tinder profile.
I'm feeling especially greasy today, people. I mean, you could say the same thing about Nick Cage's hair, for a long time too. Nick Cage has gone through some Con Air. I mean, look at all the permutations and strange hairdos that Nick Cage has had over the years.
Oh,
for
sure.
There was that meme. It reminds me. Because of the meme where they show all this different hair, and in the end they have a falcon, photoshopped on his head.
Oh, for sure. I mean, a lot of actors have weird hairs. I mean, talking about another Tom Cruise or John Woo movie. I mean, Mission Impossible 2 has Tom Cruise with the long hair, and there's a lot of things I like about Mission Impossible 2, but the hair.
Right, and in those Angels, was it those Dan Brown movies with
Tom
Hanks' weird lanky
The Da Vinci Code.
Yeah, the Da Vinci Code, where he has the greasy, almost a greasy mullet of his own. Basically his suit says, I'm a fancy highfalutin, guy in the Hague, prosecuting international criminals. His hair says he sleeps in the back of a van.
Hey, sometimes suits can make you look amazing despite everything. But yeah, and this third act is incredible. I mean, we're seeing Jean-Claude Van Damme blow people up, kick people up. I mean, it is
ride swans.
Right swans. We have, and interesting enough, a pigeon, and I think I'm getting.
Is this the one where it poops on the motorcycle guy's head?
That, and it also there's a pigeon on his shoulder, telling him, okay, there's a guy there.
Yeah,
I'm
and also the pigeon earlier in the film lets him realize that there was only one dog.
No, there was a dove.
Yeah, there was a dove, but doves and pigeons are big too.
Right.
And because you have the flocks of pigeons and the flocks of doves that fly again in slow motion through the scene.
Yeah.
And he does that in Face Off a lot too. You know what I mean?
And and in Mission Impossible too. So
doves are a big deal to John Woo. I've noticed.
They are. Well, that's his style.
Pigeon. We're going to have some squab tonight, my brother.
Yeah. So the pigeons, they're basically the signifier in a John Woo movie that shit's about to go down, and it's just, and shit does. I mean, and
shit does hit the fan, people.
Wow.
And in the case of the motorcycle rider, shit actually does hit him. Before he gets blown up, right before Jean-Claude Van Damme hits him with a gas can and lights it on fire and blows him right out the window of the warehouse, the pigeon poops right on his shoulder. You remember?
Yeah. It's amazing.
And there's Jean-Claude Van Damme with a can of gasoline.
It's amazing.
And here's the thing. You have a gun, and you wait there watching Jean-Claude Van Damme, hold on to this gas can. He drops the gas can. He rears back. He kicks the gas can. And you don't think to shoot once in the 10 seconds it takes him to do that?
Yeah, this is like a 2-second thing. Bam! Shot him in the head. Done.
Chance, hey guys, Chance is dead. Do I get any money?
Hey, can my account be cleared? Wait, what? I thought you guys paid up front.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about, us having debts, Lance Henriksen?
I'm going to burn down your mansion.
I'm a fucking billionaire, bitch. I pay up front. What are you talking about, this debt? Or was there an interest plan? What are we talking here?
Well, since that motorcycle guy was, I'm assuming, one of his henchmen, he wasn't one of the billionaires. I'm assuming he was one of their helpers.
Right.
A valet or something.
Yeah. And then you have Wilford Brimley, making his way back.
We said we were going to help.
Yeah, and he's like, well, it would just taken too long to go get the police 3 counties down. Because apparently half of fucking Louisiana's police force is on strike for whatever.
They live, of course, in the one parish in all of Louisiana that doesn't have a police force. Yeah. A southern red state that doesn't have a police force. Yeah, right.
Yeah, this is dumb. But to be fair to this movie, it's still an incredible climax, and on top of that, it feels very much like a studio or a test audience scene where we just got to get Wilford Brimley back. He shot that arrow and almost got, Lance Henriksen. That's got to be a thing that's got to be paid off.
Yeah.
So they come back.
And it raises the stakes too, because then now you've got Yancey back on set to be burned alive or shot with the weird explosive shotgun thing.
Yeah. Which it's a badass gun because it adds to the character.
Yeah, my brother was talking about that too. It's a very symbolic. It's a very unique weapon they have for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really well done. And
everything burns down.
That whole warehouse is for.
And Lance Henriksen gets a grenade to the crotch.
Victor Alonso gets blown. Did I say it again? Arnold Alonso.
Arnold Vosloo.
Arnold Vosloo.
You're talking about the Van Cleef character, right? Yeah. Arnold Vosloo is his character.
Van Cleef gets blown to hell. Yeah. Everybody.
Yeah, everybody gets blowed to hell.
So, and there's a fire. And Wilford Brimley approaches Lance Henriksen and Lance Henriksen just grabs an arrow, stabs it in the heart of Wilford Brimley, who already is shot.
Yeah. So it's been a rough day. It's been a rough day for Mr. Diabetes.
Yeah, Mr. Diabetes. Love them all.
Yeah. This is Wilford Diabetes Brimley.
Yeah. So now there's more drama. Mm-hmm. There's more built up.
Yep. And Lance Henriksen manages to get the grenade out of his pants and pull the fuse out. And even though he pulls the fuse all the way out of the grenade, it still goes off.
It still ignites.
Right. He still blows up. Like when he sees it, you see the arc going across. Whoops.
Yeah, and I don't know if you know this, but grenades, they don't blow up with fire balls. They don't do that at all. No. That never happens, but in this movie it does, because that's what John Woo wanted.
Yep. And the arc showing it is like it's an electric fuse, even though in a grenade it's going to be a chemical fuse.
Right.
You know. Most grenades are chemically active,
Yes.
not electrically activated.
Yeah.
But he still has a little arc that goes across. I love that, though. Whoops.
Oops.
And he blows. He gets blowed the fuck up.
Some poor person's going to come by 2-3 days later and see the whole warehouse just burnt to fucking...
Yeah, man, you got... Oh, what? They ruined our Mardi Gras, those bastards,
Oh, my God. This is what... But hey, that will lead to, the police strike ending, because the police will finally get what they want, and then the police force will come. Yancey gets whatever. Yancey, gets to bury her father as someone who was murdered. That case gets cleared up. I mean, happy ending.
Except for Casey Lemon's Detective Mitchell character, who gets blowed the hell up in the French Quarter.
Oh, yeah, she gets a funeral.
Yep. I mean, they blast her with a shotgun, man,
Oh, and that's what will also end the police strike. Everyone's like, well, fuck, our best friend just fucking died. The one dedicated officer that was there fucking died. So we'll agree to whatever terms you come up with. They come up with a compromise. It all ends.
And that was actually a pretty gritty and hard-boiled shootout, though, where Casey Lemon's character was shot, and they had all the shotguns and the Jeep coming by, and then you had the multiple cars being shot at, and Chance Boudreau hiding behind these different cars, and they have the motorcycle dudes coming back and forth. It's very well choreographed, and a lot of destruction. Those bullets, and you see the bullet holes in the cars. Mm-hmm. Man, that make you grit your teeth. It looks like it hurts,
Yeah. Well, and what's also cool is a little production history. That was the first time any production was able to do that on the streets of New Orleans.
You mean have those kind of special effects?
Yeah.
Huh.
Because, right in the middle of, I'm assuming it's New Orleans French Quarter. That was the first time they were actually able to have, it's dummy ammo, but still. Just have ammo just, explode as loud as possible, and people had to be notified about it, and it was, it was an incredible, it was like a first-timer for that, for that town.
Yeah. Anyway, and it was worth it. It was a good scene. One of the better shootouts in the film, I think.
And it ends with a really great scene on the bridge.
Mm-hmm. And he jumps into the train. He and Yancey jump into the train.
Yeah. With another really good moment with Lance Henriksen, who's got the gun. He's pointing.
Right.
For the listeners that are that can't see this, he's got his gun on his arm to basically help target.
Yeah, he's targeting. He's bolstering his gun, steadying the aim. Yep.
Yeah, and he misses.
The train, the next cars come in view, and he can't see them anymore before he gets the bead he likes.
And somehow he gets a helicopter out of nowhere. Which I don't know how he did that. Whatever.
Has Arnold Vosloo flying around the bayou in it.
Yeah, and so Hard Target overall is. It's not.
It ain't Oscar bait. How about that?
No. I'll say this. It's not as cinematic as... I saw Mission Impossible 2 before this new one came out. And I was just impressed by, because we talk about nowadays, Michael Bay is just... that's all he is. It's just explosions, blah, just blowing shit up and having multiple cameras film it all. But the thing about John Woo in Mission Impossible 2, and the reason why I'm still happy to say it's his magna opus of cinema, is that he got to just fucking like just do whatever he want for $125 million with car chases, explosions, bullets ricocheting everywhere in a medical facility. Medical facility. I mean, he's getting to do a bunch of shit, and even like the scenes where people are talking have cinematic quality. There's like spatial. It doesn't feel like they just like grabbed a camera and just recorded people talking and then went to the next scene. It feels cinematic in comparison to this, where the first half really does feel super, super TV-like.
Yeah, especially they're on the docks trying to get their emergency men, and he doesn't have his union dues paid up, and it's very, very, very traditional, shot scene,
And I don't know if this is true or not, but that scene looks. Maybe this is the DVD, or whatnot, but it looked like everything in the background was keyed in later, like a matte painting.
I think it was just a bad transfer because they did film it on the Mississippi waterfront. It looks like to me.
Okay. All right, maybe I just got a bad copy of the DVD, but still, I was just like, this is just not impressive at all. Like, it just wasn't. And then of course the third act saves it with just like having explosions, doves, pigeons, Jean-Claude Van Damme kicking people, and then it just ends all abruptly with Wilford Brimley surviving and losing his poor flask.
Mm-hmm.
Got them on. Well, my flask is gone. And the movie ends with like some local New Orleans band playing a rock music song, whatever. And then that's it for Hard Target.
Well, I think that if you like action movies, that you should probably watch it. It's a decent and tightly written, tightly directed action film. It's aged a bit. It's obviously, it doesn't look as sharp and fancy and schmancy as it could, but the direction and the action is pretty tight,
Yeah, it's a well-staged, it's a well-done, first entry for John Woo in the American cinema, because obviously he wasn't going to be able to just, go balls to the walls for his first movie. I think that's what we will see in the next John Woo film, is Broken Arrow, where he gets to do even more balls to the wall action. Mm-hmm. So I admire Woo's craft a lot, and I can't wait to see more of his filmography. I know I'm going to get more disappointed. The more American cinema I see, I'll get a little bit more disappointed, but like with Wind Talkers and Paycheck, but I'm very interested in John Woo work now after seeing this and Mission Impossible 2. So, just very quickly, the production history of this, we keep touching it back and forth, because I wanted to see if like Jean-Claude Van Damme did take over the editing, and what happened, because again, like you mentioned before, it was restrained, but I wanted to see if Jean-Claude Van Damme did like have an editor come in and like recut the movie, because that's what happened exactly on Cyborg and I think a couple other movies. And I think Jean-Claude Van Damme, for whatever reason, he gets like creative control on his cuts, or gets final say. Like he makes his own cut, and most studios just go with it because it has the most action in it. But anyway, so I did some digging, and it wasn't that Jean-Claude Van Damme did take over, although Jean-Claude Van Damme did like argue with John Woo to be like, well, why is Lance Henriksen in so much of the movie?
Yeah.
But second of all, but it was really the studio that cut the movie, because the work print was about 128 minutes. The director's cut was about 116, and the movie is roughly 100 minutes long, give or take.
And I mean, they had to make quite a few cuts to get their R rating.
Yes, because the MPAA came down on this movie super hard, giving it an NC-17 for all the violence. And much like Scream, they wouldn't specify
what was actually So
what was offensive?
Was it like 15 or 20 times he had to recut?
Yeah. So it was painstaking because, that was the thing John Woo didn't, had to deal with. Like, he had to kind of fight for the movie and which I'm like, I've never seen Hard Boiled, but is it an extremely violent movie?
For that period, John Woo did a lot of action. He has a scene where gangsters in Hard Boiled. He has a scene where gangsters take over a hospital, and the good guys and the nurses are evacuating all the babies from the neonatal ward while the hospital's being blown up, and other doctors and stuff like that are being exploded. So yeah, I'd say
okay,
violent.
All right, so his movies are violent. So why did you hire a guy and then chicken out on him and not try and defend the movie in front of the MPAA? So it's just a bum. So it was a bummer that this movie kind of got cut down. Apparently, the Blu-ray now has the uncut version. Unfortunately, I did not see this in Blu-ray. I saw this in I just saw this like the old like an old DVD version, like from 20 years ago. So and that's really the story behind the movie is, John Woo and Jean-Claude Van Damme, they did butt heads because he wanted to be in it more.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think they came up with a good compromise, even though they lost a lot of the effective action that was in it. So, and apparently there was a sex scene between Yancey and John in the movie. So.
And which was cut.
Which was cut for screen time. So, oh well. So yeah, and that's Hard Target. So Hard Target, it's a fun little movie for a Saturday morning. It's not great all the way through, but it's good if you want to get a kick on the John Woo filmography and see some more examples of John Woo just trying his damnedest to work with American cinema and just not doing the best. It's not working out.
No, compromises have to be made. Yes, obviously.
Yeah.
And you can see that. But I still think that if you're an action movie fan, I think you'd enjoy this. I think if you like action movies, then you'll enjoy watching Jean-Claude Van Damme ride a giant swan down with a shotgun.
Yep. All right. So,
I keep mentioning that.
Yep. All right. So with that, Justin, where can the good people find you?
Right now, my main haunt is the Cardboard Rocket on Facebook, and maybe eventually I'll do a web page. But right now, come and see me on the Cardboard Rocket on Facebook, and we'll get together and make some movies.
All right, and I'll post a link to this in the description below this podcast. And you can find me on Twitter at MovieKale, and you can also follow the show at The Youth Critic, and then you can also follow the channel that distributes this podcast at KHZ Network. This is it for the summer 1993 retrospective. We're wrapping it up. We will review a couple more movies from '93 as the year goes along. And we'll do a couple other random retrospectives throughout the year. I think in a couple weeks, we should try and do the 2001 do one for 2001,
okay.
Like in 2 or 3 weeks time.
All right.
But other than that, I mean, I don't have it. Other than that, we'll probably have one. We'll obviously have the 2001 in like 2 or 3 weeks, and then we'll start something in October, and then around Christmas we'll have 2 or 3 more. So
we're going to do the Santa Claus?
Santa Claus came out in 94.
No, but I mean, we're going to do a retrospective of Christmas films, right? We have to do the Santa Claus, right?
Oh, we should. That's one of the first movies I actually ever seen. So,
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. It was the first like VHS. One of the first VHSs like collected. So, yeah. So, but yeah. All right. So we'll be back in a couple weeks with a special on 2001, and then we'll. I think at that point we'll figure out what we're going to do for Halloween. So.
Always fun.
Always fun. But other than that, we will see you all.
Hard.
We need to get out of here now.
Ladies first.
What? These men will chase after you. You married you for business or pleasure?
Both. Look at it this way. You're gonna get to meet Elvis. Give it a rest, pal.
Jean-Claude Van Damme is the hard target.
You miss me?
From internationally acclaimed action director John Woo.
How's it feel to be hunted?
You tell me.
Hard target.